Hey guys, what's up? It is your friendly neighborhood UberGoose here, back again with another Magic the Gathering video. This time we're going to cover the mono blue deck. This is a pretty good deck if you don't want to spend any money, because currently it only runs 4 rares in the main deck, and I believe 2 more in the sideboard. Sorry, 3 more. 2 Entrancing Melodies and 1 Search for Azcantha. So that is a grand total of 7 rare wild cards and 0 mythic wild cards if you are looking to make a deck. However, please be warned, this deck is not easy to play, and there are going to be a lot of games that are potentially tilt-inducing because you'll do nothing, and it was kind of out of your control. So, with that out of the way, let's cover the deck real quick. I'm sure you guys have already seen it, so I'll make it fast. We run 10 1-mana 1/1s, the better of which are obviously Siren Stormtamer and Terramander, and then only 2 Mistcloaked Herald. This is still kind of a holdover from the last version of the deck, the pre-Ravnica Allegiance version. It's still good sometimes, and getting up to 10 or higher 1-mana 1/1s can be a pretty big deal, like a pretty big boon. So, and then, of course, the ideal combo card is Curious Obsession, which is just really good. It gives +1/+1 and Curiosity effect of drawing a card whenever they hit a player. However, it comes with the downside of needing to attack every turn. Oh boo-hoo, I have to attack with my creature who it puts on a non-zero clock and draws me an additional card every turn. No way. So that's obviously the combo if you get this on turn 2. If you get Dork on 1, Obsession on 2 with backup like a Spell Pierce, you probably won the game. Like, almost 100% of the time you won the game in that instance. The rest of the deck is kind of the same as it was before, although we are running 2 Essence Capture, or rather I'm running 2 Essence Capture. My list is basically Alexander Haynes with only 1 modification of +1 Essence Capture, -1 Mistcloaked Herald. This card is Essence Scatter plus a +1/+1 counter, and if the creature isn't countered, you can still get the counter. What I mean by this is you can target a Carnage Tyrant or a Niv Mizzet with an Essence Capture just to get the +1/+1 counter if you so desire. So, take that as you will. There's also 1 Blink of an Eye. Just sometimes there are threats that you really just need to get off the board, sometimes just for a single turn and then win the game. And the thing that makes this deck really work is Tempest Djinn, which is a threat on its own. This deck doesn't really clock people very quickly. You might be swinging for like 5 damage a turn if you have multiple creatures in play. So, yeah, it doesn't really clock people, but Tempest Djinn sure does clock people. The moment he comes down, he's a 3/4 flying, and then ideally you're playing him when you have 4 mana, so he's going to be a 4/4 flyer, and then you have backup with Spell Pierce or Dive Down. And that's the deck. I mean, you don't need me to go super deep into it. I'm sure you guys have seen this deck a million times. We're just going to jump into some ranked. Now, I will mention, before it inevitably happens, there is this thing called the Mono Blue Mirror, and it's not a very interesting match. So I hope I don't get a lot of those. This is actually the 3rd time I'm recording this video. The last time I recorded, I was pretty tilted. And then the first time I recorded, I got 4 Mono Blue Mirrors, and it was just not interesting. So here's hoping. But I think this one's going to go up almost no matter what. So, anyway. Sand is mediocre. It doesn't really do anything, but the Opt can allow us to get somewhere, and Chart a Course can ditch some redundancy and potentially find us some action. And I don't really like going to 6 if I'm, I have a hand of 3 lands and draw effects, like multiple. I think it's probably close enough to keep, although it is on the worse end of the keepable 7s, obviously. What do you got, opponent? Yes! I like to see not basic island. I am going to keep this, as awkward as that sounds. You could maybe think about our position as sort of a mulligan. And Curious Obsession's really good at unmulliganing. I'm actually going to ditch island here. So next turn, we can go land Stormtamer with Retort backup / Essence Capture. And then on the following turn, we get to Obsession up the Stormtamer and go ham. Okay, so they're Temur. I'm going to assume that they are probably the Nexus deck. I haven't seen many Temur lists that are actually playing creature spells, so we'll see how this goes. I am going to play this first. Okay, it looks like our opponent doesn't have anything. The one that is not summoning sick, please. Cool. So I played that first because I didn't want to be in an awkward spot of like having to spend a Wizard's Retort and then post-combat playing a Storm Tamer and shit. Yeah, I'm obviously going to be countering your Wilderness Reclamation, my guy. I mean, you gotta, you know, you gotta shoot your shot, I guess, but like, I don't know. So I would say that this is generally a very good matchup. We have 3, sure. That seems like a reasonable spot to play Terry. So now Terry costs 5 mana to adapt, and we get to put our opponent on a 2-turn clock if we are able to adapt. A Growth Spiral is totally fine. I have nothing wrong with that. As long as it's not a card that clears my board, nor a Wilderness Reclamation, I do not care. Chemister's Insight. That is A-okay, because they still need to actually do something huge. Spell Pierce is also very good, so now we have extra backup here. In fact, I'm not even... With this Spell Pierce, I'm actually going to just do this, so they have less options on the following turn, because now they have a turn. And I believe this also means that I get to... Because that's 5, so this costs 3 to adapt. Yeah, so now they're on a 2-turn clock, and I have Wizard's Retort backup. And potentially a land drop here. There's not a land drop, and that is fine. Alright, opponent, what do you got? And now most of their potential sweeper-type effects probably don't even do anything here. Or do very little. Yep, that's fine. Because now you have 2 mana to have to do something, and I, of course, have Wizard's Retort. So, there's a Lava Coil. I will do this. I will spend a card rather than my creature on board. Not that it really matters, but... Alright, so I don't think we really want to change too terribly much. Obviously, I do want to cut the Essence Captures and bring in 2 negates to replace them. Beyond that, I don't even know if I want the 3rd negate. I don't know if I want to cut Blink of an Eye. I don't even think I want Search for Azcanta, because they're basically like a teamer, they're like turbo reclamation, effectively. So I think it's just a matter of getting low and countering specific important cards. And Blink of an Eye can kind of... I mean, it can kind of be remand for Wilderness Reclamation, if that makes sense. Like, if they play Wilderness Reclamation, and before their end step, I blink it, that's kind of a remand, except I don't draw a card unless I kick it. Look, it's a bounce effect, okay? It's good against specifically Wilderness Reclamation if I have nothing else to do. So in that case, maybe Negate's better, but then Blink of an Eye can actually be beneficial on a future turn. So they also probably have Niv Mizzets, so maybe I actually do want to bring in like Deep Freezes over a Blink and probably like a Chart or something. That might be ambitious, but I think it's relatively safe to assume that they are running Niv Mizzet, because if you untap with Niv Mizzet ever in that deck, you just win. So I don't see any reason that a deck wouldn't be running Niv Mizzet unless it's like for the sake of Arena and they just don't have enough rare wild cards to have Niv. Sounds pretty good. Not super exceptional, but it does interact, it does get a threat on the board, and it potentially has an answer to Niv Mizzet, which is potentially very useful. Alright, so if they don't have turn 2 Lava Coil immediately, we're probably in a very incredible spot. This is incredibly fortunate. That is not a Lava Coil. And that is not a threatening thing. Yeah, okay. So, I'm going to play a Curious Obsession on my 1/1 Siren Storm Tamer. So this is definitely the kind of creature that you really kind of don't want the Obsession on. But sometimes you gotta, you know? You gotta do what you gotta do. Also, my man's is about to shoot his shot again, I think. Ooh, that is not him shooting a shot. Okay. So, interestingly enough, if our opponent passes here, I'm just not gonna opt end of turn. Growth Spiral, sure. Like, if they have untapped red, holy shit. Yeah, I know that game's over. To be fair, that is 100% over. I don't blame them for scooping there. There is no way that you can come back there. I mean, maybe if my hand was completely dead, there'd be a chance, you know? But we're talking a snowball's chance in hell, you know? But I do think that matchup is probably one of the most one-sided in Standard. It's pretty close. Maybe not Temur Nexus specifically, but... Okay, this is interesting, actually. This is really fascinating. I mean, if we have a second land, then we probably win. So I'm going to keep it on the back of that being a possibility. Oh no, it's a basic Island. There's a second land as if I drew it up. That's not even the saying. It's like what's the saying? Alright, so he bottomed, sure. Well, we got a mirror, boys. The good news about this mirror is that I had to do it on 1 and potentially an obsession on 2. Oh, it is not the mirror at all. Okay, this is not what I expected. Sure. Normally when I see basic fucking island into... I'm gonna Storm Tamer here, as kind of weird as that sounds. Mostly because I'm not piercing something... Like, if my opponent goes land and Drake, then it's really weird. Yeah. To not just jam, because I can't counter it anyway. Okay, so I'm just gonna say go. It's a weird spot, but basically now what I get to do is I get to retort a potential play, and if they got nothing, I get to Trickster end of turn. I'm gonna go no blocks, thank you. I could have also Trickstered here, but that that basically auto loses to a variety of things, so I will not do that. If they had like Crackling Draked, sure, that's fine. I'm gonna do this anyway. This could be like a shock or something, but gotta draw some cards so we can actually hit lands. This is obviously going on my boy Terry. It is an opt, sure thing. No reason to counter that. Popped, okay. I am gonna full swing because I think we got a race. I also think that this is going to be a very difficult race, if not impossible, but I think we got a race. That Trickster pickup is quite nice for that. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna use my onboard trick and probably get hit with another removal spell and lose the game, but I don't really have any options, so... Oh. Did they not have another removal spell? That's interesting. Alright, well, we're dead on the crackback, which is obviously what Trickster is for. So I'm first going to just double swing. We're going to set a stop on upkeep. Of course, I'm never allowed to find anything relevant here. Yeah, I am going to prioritize Trickster over Blink. So we're going to do this before draw. Play around potential counter. As long as we're doing this on their turn, it's fine. Yes, I would like this to resolve. Thank you. We'll tap one of these. So we're still dead to several things, but I don't really think I can play around those things. Yeah, it's a good start. Just need 2 more spells or a shock. All they needed was a shock before that opt anyway, so. Interesting. So if I ever found a third land, how different would this game be? Be, like, decently different, right? Yeah. So, as long as we're speaking about what matchups seem good and bad, I feel like Drake's is a bad one. Get those out there. Duelist is, like, cute, but probably not good here. Capture is great. Blink is playable. Probably can trim 1 Spell Pierce is fine. And I don't know. I mean, we just need to draw more lands, right? I mean, we drew 2 a turn for multiple turns in a row, and we just didn't find our third land. Maybe a chart. Actually, maybe like multiple charts. Maybe chart sucks. Like, maybe I just keep the Pierce in. Let's try that. Chart, of course, is like always the first card that I'm cutting, which leads me to believe that maybe it's the worst card in the deck and could potentially have something to replace it. The problem is, what the fuck do you replace it with? Yeah, I'm gonna keep this. So I'm going to keep this because it allows me to counter any spell now. First of all, I'm keeping it because it's obviously quite good, right? Like, it's got 2 lands, 2 1-drops, 2 counter spells. That's good. So, alright. So we're going to give it the good old swing. If our opponent wishes to block, they can feel free to do so. And then I'm going to pass, and I'll be looking to retort/capture almost anything that my opponent is trying to do. Chart a course, I'll probably capture it. And by capture, I mean retort. Okay. Nothing, I will definitely opt. Yes, I will keep that land. Thank you. Beautiful. Okay, so we're going to go with a little swing. A little swing-a-ding. I'm going to play a Terry. And then we're going to say go. It is an opt. You got it. Shock? Sure. That is not the creature that I'm planning to win with. I mean, Terry's good in this matchup, but yeah, I'm not going to spend my mana to protect him when my opponent is looking like they want to just Enigma Drake me. Chart a course? What the fuck? I guess I'm going to retort. If they want to pierce, that's fine. Yeah, A-okay by me. I mostly was doing that line because I was trying to think about what they could possibly have and like why they would shock. Alright, so obviously this is pretty awful if my opponent just has specifically a Drake here. Well, they shocked again, so it's looking like a Drake. It's a pretty good one. It's no crackling Drake, but a Drake is a Drake is a Drake. Yeah, I'm gonna say no attacks, I guess. We're gonna just sit here and stare at each other for a fucking while. I want him to just commit with another Drake here. Just jam it. Just slam it. Thanks. So this opens a little bit of a window. Obviously, if my opponent has one more spell, it's not really a window, but I mean, yeah, I'm just gonna pay that. I still would like that to be countered. Yeah, sure, it gets his Drake to 5 power, but Mist Cloaked Herald. My boy. Alright. This seems like a pretty reasonable time to swing because the issue is that now my opponent has enough stuff that Terry is going to be large. So, I guess I should have swung before playing Mist Cloaked Herald, but wow, he just goes to 7. Well, I don't think he can deal 18 this turn, no matter what he believes. Now I wish I did have Chart a Course. Maybe I should have kept charts in. I mean, I still have one somewhere, but the thing that bothers me about this Drake deck is, first of all, I understand that they have 12 creatures, right? They have 4 Terramanders, 4 Enigma Drakes, and 4 Crackling Drakes. That much I understand. However, can somebody explain to me how they find 7 Drakes in the top 10 cards every single time that I've played against them? Literally 100% of the time. I genuinely don't think I've ever seen them not just have a billion Drakes. So now he has to block the Tempest Djinn. Which is fine by me, because he's on a relatively swift clock here. Although, so am I suppose. Pierce ain't bad. So the good news is I'm not dead this turn. The bad news is my crackback isn't lethal. I mean, I go no blocks, right? 3 and 8 are basically identical. Dive down. I think I have to do it like this and pray to draw a flying creature. It is a flying creature. But how do I win? I mean, I jump, but how do I win? I would like to dive down my Siren Storm Tamer. There's no way to get a Storm Tamer big enough to actually survive this. Ooh! Ooh! Put the fucking fear of God in this boy. Holy shit, alright. Now we got a chance. Now we got it, I think. I think we actually got it. Unless they're running Lightning Strike. I'm pretty sure we just won because they didn't swing for no good reason. That's funny. Alright, well, yeah, I'm gonna retort that. Alright, thank you, opponent, for throwing that game away. If he just did double swing, I'm forced to double chump, and then they go to 1. Literally, the board state is the same, except I'm down 2 Siren Storm Tamers. I mean, I guess if I have a second dive down, like, that could be a situation that would be awkward. Also, why didn't I bring in Exclusion Mages? If I think Blink is good, why would I not bring in Exclusion Mages? Let's cut a Pierce. I do think having too many Pierces is bad when they're playing a lot of creatures, which, of course, they are. And to be fair, they only saw 4 Drakes in the top, like, 12 cards, which is still absurd, but the good old Zero Lander. Nice way to end out this... Okay, never mind. Okay. I was about to say, nice way to end out this this best of 3. Just get fucked by the deck. I'm actually gonna just say go. Yeah. When they shock here, I'm thinking shock. And I know what I just said is, like, obviously the dumbest fucking thing imaginable, but given my current hand of 1 dude, I do not want to have this 1 dude on the board shields down. That is a bad idea. Alright. So now we're going to play him. And we do have some amount of shields in the Pierce. Obviously, if they have land and then shock, then we don't have shields, but I'll survive, I suppose. Terry. Okay. Looks like our opponent might not have any interaction, which means we get to have some fun. We get to have some fun. So they could Pierce here, which would actually be really good for them. Or they could shock. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna just Pierce the shock, thank you. It's gonna Pierce the Pierce. I'm gonna Pierce the shock, thank you. Easy game. Now, if they have another shock, it's really awkward, but the good news is we're kind of even on cards and I have another obsession. Sure. And this means they probably don't have Drake, but it's a Drake player, so they probably do have Drake. Oh, that's not a Drake. Holy shit. It's a chart, though. Probably the best card that they could have outside of Drake. Yeah, oh. By the way, did you guys know this has Drake creature type? Isn't that interesting? The Drake's deck could actually run actual tribal. Alright, so now we lost. Now the game's over. That's cool. Neat. Yeah, I don't know how to win from this position, to be totally honest. Probably gotta find, like, Exclusion Mage or something. 3 lands in a row is not Exclusion Mage, so it's a pretty rough spot to be in. We are 1 land away from actually adapting Terry, so I'll say go, because there's no reason to play Obsession, because we're not swinging. So, yeah, we lost. We're going to have another Drake, because Magic is wonderful. That's 5. No blocks, I guess. Go to 10. 9, I guess. Enigma Drake. No, just a second chart. Okay. Yeah. It's pretty good, too. Well, there's a Terry. I mean, I think I gotta draw a card here. Retort's not bad. Let's play another Terry. It's gonna be an interesting position. But we do have Retort, which is nice. And I'm obviously chumping the big boy with this guy. No question. There's a Terry. I don't think I can allow that to resolve. But, I mean, now shields are down to another Drake. There is not another Drake. Holy shit, I think we might be doing it. Especially with this draw. That's a really good one. 1, 2, 3, 4. If this were a land, I would actually be in so much business right now. Because then I could trade Terry rather than chump with Terry. That sucks. Lava coil. Then I adapt and then I'm dead. So okay. Just gonna let him attack because this can come down after declare attacks and it's actually fine. Yep. I lost though. I mean, the game's over. Our opponent hit every land drop. They had 2 chart a course and it drew awkwardly. I do still think it's a really bad matchup, but I also think that not drawing sideboard cards pretty much makes you lose most of the time in already bad matchups. If I drew sideboard cards, I think I would have had a shot. Deep Freeze or Exclusion Mage would have been great there. In fact, it would have been super, super good on that last turn to have either of those 2 cards. Because then if I have Deep Freeze instead of Essence Capture, then Drake is shut down completely, which is good. Salamander Drake still gets in there. So I'd still have to chump, but I could Trickster it down pre-combat. And then if I have Exclusion Mage instead of Trickster, that also works, because then I just bounce, the Crackling Drake, and then I can capture it on the way down. This hand's fine. Nothing exceptional, but actually having 3 lands is what I want to have. And it's probably a mirror. And if it's not a mirror, then this is still awful, because it's Drakes again. Gross. Okay, Magic is a skill game for sure. He's double obsessioned. Well, I'm gonna chump, because I don't want my opponent to have cards. And what I do wish to do is on upkeep, I would like to Trickster down his Terry. And now I've just 2-for-1'd him, which is pretty good, I feel. I do believe that that ends up being quite good for me. I will play a Tempest Djinn. I see your Djinn and I raise you a Djinn. I mean, it's not really raised, but you probably don't want to attack with Terry. Okay. Sure. We're in a pretty good spot, honestly. All things considered, this is a pretty fucking good spot. So, I would like to develop my Terrierless Mandarus and probably end my turn. Hold back for the blockage. I guess Trickster should have gotten in there. That was like a totally free attack. If my opponent wants a 2-for-1, they can 2-for-1. I will trade. Thank you. It's fine by me. Okay. So now I'm tempted with the Obsession. And my opponent's tapped out, so I do think this is a good idea. I'm going to Obsession the Trickster. So if my opponent wishes to stop me from drawing more cards and furthering my lead, they will have to throw all 3 under the bus. And then I dive down, and it's a 3-for-1, which is pretty fucking ridiculous. They could also just run a chump, and that is also fine. I have a retort for literally any card, so I have nothing to worry about, and they've scooped. As you saw, very skill-based. So, it's a weird situation where sideboarding just don't make sense. I think Entrancing Melodies are okay here. Probably not. Actually, I want Exclusion Mages and maybe Fairy Duelists. Let's think about that. Probably cut Blink. And I'm tempted to just cut 3 charts. But maybe that's wrong. Maybe this match is so based in card advantage that the charts are just actually super important. But I don't know. I don't know. They always feel awkward. We're going to try cutting them. We're a game ahead, so I'm going to hope. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that I'm a game ahead, therefore, I'm going to do incorrect things to try and feel them out. Also, have you guys, like, I don't know what this backdrop is, to be totally honest. It kind of looks like the place where Sarah's are from. I think that's what it might. That might be the intent. Either way, it looks like Anne Orlando, so that's dope. All right, opponent tanking real hard on play draw. I was on the draw, so. And I stomped him, so, you know. Yeah, pretty much the same hand as last time, minus an obsession. There's their one. I will play my Terry to match. Here comes an obsession. No obsession. No attack? This boy's wilding out. The fuck? Okay. Sure, bud. Opt? You got it. Wish I had time to play opts. So he had no obsession. He kind of had nothing going on, to be honest. Alright. I think here's where we respond. Plays around retort. And also essence capture if my opponent goes for it, which it looks like they are. I think is actually not even that good. And it looks like they're actually putting the counter on. Yeah, that's a mistake, by the way. If you've ever wanted to see a mistake, there's one right there. Reason being, now this can't adapt ever. It is barred from adapting forever. So my opponent now has a 2/2 Terramander forever. It will never be a 5/5, nor will it ever be a 6/6. In fact, I would argue, especially given that he already had an opt, I would argue that it's probably correct to just not put the counter. This is not, you know, you're not forced to put the counter. It's optional. It's up to you. I'm gonna play Storm Tamer and just probably say go. If they want to counter this, you know, they can go for it. I mean, I'm pretty tempted to just pierce back, to be honest. But like maybe I just don't give a shit. I don't think I give a shit. And they put another counter. So I'm a liar. It's not a 2/2 forever. Now it's a 3/3 forever. What you got, opponent? What you doing? I seem to have caused a visual bug of some variety. I don't know how I accomplished this, but you know. Now I just got some swords. Forever. I don't think swords are generally, you know, a main phase type of thing. That's fine. This is a net zero card advantage. It's strictly card selection if you play it without the raid, which is, it's weird because they didn't put raid on the card. End of combat. It's hard for me to actually figure out what phase we're in. Alright, so now I'm just going to toss an opt out and probably another opt. Yep, land is great. Another opt. Storm Tamer number 2 is also great. I will play my land and I will play a Storm Tamer. And I will probably just say go again. So the reason that I'm not swinging with Jin despite having Fairy Duelist, like I do kind of want to just slam my opponent out of the game. The downside is that if they have like multiple things, it's really bad. With only one thing, I guess it's actually totally fine because I have Pierce back up. But anyway, we're gonna make the obvious block. Thank you. All right, yeah, you know you can adapt that. That's fine, bud. Might want to read the card because reading the card explains the card. Oops. That's a cute one. All right, well, we're gonna retort their unfortunate duelist and make them hold that L real tight. Real tight. All right, so we're gonna swing with both and put them on a 2-turn clock. So now if they want to obsession and just go for it, I am a-okay with that one. because they're dead. So that's good for me. Entrancing Melody. It's not a bad one. Not a bad one at all. Alright, well. That is one downside to my line, for sure. Yeah, we'll just crack. If they want to trade, that's fine. Sure thing. I'll play another Storm Tamer. And I will end my turn. The good news is they can never attack with Jin. Ever. Curious Obsession. Sure. If it looks like they're attacking with Jin, yeah, I'm fine with this shit. You got it, bud. There's a Storm Tamer, sure. Do they also have another thing? No? Okay. More lands ain't great. Yeah, I'm gonna double swing because now I can just duelist the Storm Tamer if necessary. Holding land just to make it look like I have more things to do. Might scare my opponent. Sure. It's fine. So now I'm just gonna duelist it. And give it the good old chump. Sweet. That was a weird game, too. 2? Yeah, it was 2. Because I smoked him. Alright, let's play a couple more. This video is almost certainly just going to be shorter than the other ones, even if it's a similar amount of rounds, even if it's more rounds, just on the count of the fact that we're playing mono blue, which is a relatively fast deck. But I'm also not sure if my line was correct. It's possible I should have actually chumped the Jin on the first swing. It's also possible instead of going for a 2-turn clock, I should have just left my Storm Tamer up the whole game. To be honest, I didn't exactly expect an Entrancing Melody, so I'm gonna give myself a little bit of a pass there. And it's not that I didn't expect it because, you know, they shouldn't have boarded it in. I just didn't expect it. It's simple as that. It was nothing but an oversight. Okay, so this is probably like tokens. I don't know how to feel about this deck post RNA. I thought this deck was really, really good with guilds. And I thought after Allegiance, that's a good one. I guess it doesn't really matter which one I'm going for, and I want the Obsession on a Terry over the other things. So, there's that. Wild Growth Walker is not threatening in the slightest. Alright, we're just gonna go for it. And I'm pretty sure I'm just playing a Storm Tamer as well. Yeah, I'm just gonna play a Storm Tamer. It's mana efficient, like I could bluff having something, but I assume that if my opponent has removal, they're just gonna go for it anyway, regardless of if I'm bluffing, and if they don't have it, that means that I'll actually have something up. Conclave Tribunal? Oh, Mortify, sure. That's fine. It is not the end of the world, honestly. I'm gonna play a Terry, and then we just have double counters up. Not going to play the other Storm Tamer because I want to have double counters up. And I'm basically countering anything my opponent plays, especially a Jade Light Ranger before a land drop. That will be the absolute greatest thing to counter ever. Holy shit, how does he do it? Woo hoo hoo! Woo! How does he know? To be fair, like, I don't think my opponent really has anything else that's good there, so holy shit. Video games are sick, dude. Alright, that's a lucky top deck, but, you know, sometimes luck is on your side. Yeah, I mean, they missed a land drop. They're not going to play 2 spells in a single turn, so I may as well make my clock slightly faster. But I'm going to also retort the second Jade Light Ranger without a 4th land drop. Branch Walker, that's also worthy of a retort, that's fine. You know, if this opens the door to my opponent having removal, it opens the door to my opponent having removal. If it doesn't, we win. And it looks like my opponent does not have removal. As it turns out, Wild Growth Walker is a really bad Magic card if you don't have anything to work with it. So, It's good for the home team. Terry's adapting pretty soon. 2, so it costs 6. So this brings it down to 5 right away. And if we get the opportunity to play these things, then just have lethal. So that's good. That's sweet. Now I'm curious if I actually should spread the essence capture counters around and have 2/2/2 Storm Tamers, or if it would be better to have a 3/3. I think it'd be better to have a 3/3. Because then you just don't feel bad throwing away the first one. So, anyway. Melody seems actually fine. It's interesting. So they're Abzan. They're actually playing black mana, which is intriguing. I mean, our sideboard has a lot of good cards against them. Honestly, it's probably okay to cut some amount of Pierce, like 1, and maybe some charts. Those are probably the worst cards in the main against what they're doing, or what they could be doing. I think you bring in Exclusion Mages. Now, weirdly enough, they are playing green, but you probably don't want to bring in Surge Mare. I do think I want to bring in the Melodies. Let's try that. The reason I want to bring in the Melodies is mostly for Wild Growth Walker. 4 mana, take like a fucking 7/9 is pretty good. I mean, it basically makes it so they can't attack ever, unless they have removal, but then they're removing their own Wild Growth Walker, so... But on top of that, I assume they're going to have Lyra, and in super, super, ultra, mega, redonkulous late game, having some answer to Lyra seems pretty good. Obviously, Exclusion Mages kind of double with that, but anywho. Yeah, this is a mull, obviously. 0 land. This is pretty bad, but it's keepable. I would like to see another land as well, obviously. I just want to hit land drops for a while now. Honestly, just straight 3 lands in a row off the top would be great. Exclusion Mage is not great. So we're both in a similar spot, except they could have Flower. They do not have Flower. Okay. That island is really good, actually. So now what's interesting is if my opponent doesn't remove this now, then, yeah, if they do this, I'm actually not going to Obsession. Just going to say go. Cool. So now I'll probably retort almost any play. Actually, I might just Trickster first to get more threats on the board. It is a shock. Well, if they're shocking, then I might just retort. Flower, sure. Interesting line of shock self, play flower. Not really sure I follow, but... Okay, interesting. So, I mean, they have a removal spell that they're really holding on to real tight. I have 3 Tricksters, so it's fine to just play one as Ambush Viper here. It's obviously not Ambush Viper, it's a 2/2, not a 2/1. Alright, well, I'm just going to swing and say go again. What you got this time, opponent? Nothing. Alright, go. Again. Yikes! Oh my god, my opponent's playing really bad. Like, look, I get that you want your thing to happen, right? I understand that you want your effect to resolve, but, broski. The amount of life you've lost because you just refuse to play it is a little absurd. It's about to be even more here, dude. Like, this is about to be even more. In fact, now I'm just going to Obsession a Trickster. And then I can just Storm Tame the inevitable cast down, or Moment of Craving, that my opponent has been holding on to for a long time. Yeah, I'm going to Storm Tamer the Assassin's Trophy. I'll use my onboard trick to counter your spell and have my thing resolve and have you on a 3-turn clock because you sat on your Assassin's Trophy for several turns, rather than just fucking playing it like a smart man. Now, I am kind of owned here, to be fair, but that's okay. Being owned is, you know, part of the job description. I am owned mostly because I couldn't find any lands. I still can't find any lands. I found the second land, which is nice, but beyond that, we're not really doing anything. The good news is my opponent might be heavily incentivized, or think they're heavily incentivized to... Wow. Kill my Trickster. Jesus Christ. Imagine if they were at 11 right now. Actually, imagine if they were at, like, what, 13 right now? March of the Multitudes. Okay. I mean, I'd probably just Trickster 1/1 and Crunch, I think. It's awkward. But it's obvious my opponent wants to make some good-looking blocks. If they want to do a double block here, that's fine. I draw a card. If they don't want to do a double block, then that's also fine. If they just want to go to 9, leave me with a full board, that is fine. Obviously, Finality would be pretty awful, but also if they just want to single chump and go to 6, that's right. That's also fine. Look at all these Tricksters. And look at all of these chickens. Kaya. Wow, I can hit Curious Obsession.
I like a good fight.
That's kind of cute.
Notice I didn't say fair.
I don't know what my opponent's doing. I think they're playing a really mediocre deck and playing not well. Well, I think I'm gonna Alpha Strike to be, well, I think I just kill Kaya. I guess this doesn't actually kill Kaya guaranteed, but I mean, it makes it hard for Kaya to actually survive. Yeah, if they want to make this, which is what I expected, then that is fine. They trade their whole board away for 2 Tricksters, and I just kind of have free reign. Do I want to play Terry? No, let's play Herald. Also, I like that all these creatures can actually just, you know, have names, basically. Now a Finality would be rough. But the good news is they're dead relatively quick. And by that I mean a 2-turn clock. So if they don't have Finality, we're in a really good spot. And now we got the untap, so the game's probably over. And we have a Curious Obsession, so the game is probably over. They literally have 1 unknown, so I mean, yeah, I'm going to use my onboard trick to counter your spell again. Thank you. You're still on a 2-turn clock. Come on, land 1 time. I don't think I need to play anything else, because the only thing that really saves them, I think, is Finality. I guess that's not entirely true. Creature also saves them. Yeah, I don't know what that was, to be honest. I don't know what they were doing. I mean, they were playing Magic, so good on them, but beyond that, I'm not really, not really keyed into what was going on there. I think it's very possible that their deck was not good. But also beyond that, why the fuck did they wait so long to Assassin's Trophy? I mean, like, I get it, you want the sick 2-for-1, but he saw my cards that were in play. He saw the permanents that I had in play. Like, I don't know. I'm going to try it. It's a similar situation to last game. Second land makes this have a lot of game. And even without a second land, we actually do have a little bit of game, especially against a mulliganed opponent. But that land is not exactly what I want to see. In fact, it's really not what I want to see. So, because that's red mana. And red mana means that Storm Tamer can die. Oh no, it's Temur. Oh, okay, they're just lava coiling right away. That's probably fine for me then. I'll play another Storm Tamer. Unfortunately, no second land, so we're probably going to lose now. We got out the gates too slow, and they have double lava coil. Please be stuck on 2 lands at the very least. No, of course not. Okay, well, I don't really know how we're going to win this one. Because we have a no action. And also that card is unbeatable, so I will concede after missing my second land drop for the 3rd turn in a row. Alright. So, Phoenix is an unbeatable Magic card. And as such, we will be bringing in the freezes of a deep variety. Now, what is weird to me is I have no idea what they are, actually. Like, they're Temur. I guess they might be like Vanifar, right? That feels like what they are, is Vanifar. So if they're Vanifar, we want to slow them down, probably. It's weird. It's weird. We don't really have cards to deal with Vanifar. I feel like Vanifar shouldn't even be a bad matchup, though. Alright, let's try bringing in Exclusion Mages, cutting a Blink and a Pierce. And then, oh yeah, we already brought in 2 cards, so we gotta still cut 2 more. Maybe we just cut Pierces. No, probably not. I mean, they're playing removal, so Pierce still seems good. Let's just cut charts, because I always cut chart. I don't know, chart just feels awful. Every time that I have it in my hand, I'm like, what if this were a different card? I don't know what different card I would have instead of chart, but what if it were a different card? All right, on the play. This is a large yike. We're going to keep it. We're going to keep it on the count of our opponent not having shock in their deck. And if they have shock, boy oh boy, this game is going to be hard. If they just go red land shock, this game is going to be a rough one. That is a red land, but thankfully it's not one that I actually give a shit about. Please give me a land for love of Christ one time. You son of bitch. Alright, we're about to get lava coiled and the game's gonna be over. So... oh wow, they did have shock. Okay. It's kind of the same thing. Alright, I'm just gonna scoop it up. I mean... yeah, that was a bad keep, but I honestly kind of feel like this matchup probably sucks, because their entire game plan revolves around getting out a Rekindling Phoenix quickly, and Rekindling Phoenix is actually just the hardest card for this deck to deal with out of every single card in Standard. So I do feel like we probably would lose that game most of the time. I imagine that's probably just a bad matchup, which is why I kept a bad keep. I mean, I'd say that I kept an optimistic hand. I think that's much more accurate than calling it bad, because I don't think it was bad, right? 1 drop into Curious Obsession, even without a second land, is pretty good, because you have multiple draws. Yikes. So I'm going to bottom that. You have multiple draws at second land, which I have to imagine is pretty good. Alright, so we're going to go next all the way. No reason to main phase our Tricksters. There's literal 0 value, so... Tajik. Okay. So I'm wondering if I just let him swing and just trade with Tajik. I think so. It's really awkward, but like it keeps his Fireblade Artist around. But like if I play that and tap down his artist, then like he just doesn't swing, so I don't know. Also, what are the chances that they have removal here? High, probably. Probably high. I don't know, because they're like a very heavy creature deck. I've seen this deck. It's so this is Mardu humans. Yeah, Judith, sure. That's pretty good. By pretty good, I mean fucking insane. Jesus Christ. Well, Jin is never gonna get a better block than this, so I'm just gonna go for it. That's honestly worthwhile in my book. There's another Jin. That is a good fucking draw. That is a very good draw. I'm gonna Herald, though. I gotta get my card advantage online. So, we're gonna say go, and we're gonna end up trickstering something. And I'm probably... well, I don't know if I'm gonna trade with Judith. Swiftblade Vindicator, sure. Orzhov Enforcer, sure. I think I let them swing. Wow, they just pass? Okay, cool. Dope. Sweet. Rad. Awesome. Cool. It doesn't really matter what I'm tapping and removing abilities from. Alright. Double? Double. I don't know how we're going to win this game, but hey! Magic! I mean, I got a lot of cards. I guess that might be the way we win the game, right? Is just get a shitload of cards. That is a good draw. Thank you for drawing a land. I will play a Storm Tamer, and I'll probably hold up Storm Tamer plus Opt. So we're on a relatively fast clock with the Vindicator. How the fuck is this man so good at drawing his 3 mana creatures? Genuinely kind of incredible. Okay. I'll Quarter blocks, I guess. Little block there. I guess I'm gonna go to 6. Yeah, I guess I should have jumped. Sure, I'll keep the land. I think the land is worthwhile. How do we win this game of Magic? Probably don't. Yeah, just don't. So, white-based aggressive decks are also a really bad matchup for this deck. Duelists are definitely in here, though. That's absolutely 100% guaranteed. I think Melodies probably also want to be in. I think the Pierces don't look good at all, to be honest. I don't think we full cut. I think, honestly, we probably cut. Actually, you know what? Full cut, Mares. Easy. Easy sideboarding. Easy. Yeah, our opponent got fairly lucky to to have the Haste, the Fireblade Artist, into Tajik, into a Judith. Cool. All right, so I'm just gonna lose because I mean, game's over. All right, we're just gonna. I mean, like, there's no reason to play this out. Literally, if their 7-card hand, which they kept, like immediately, has any creature spells, we've lost. So cool. Let's go next. I mean, sure, I could have gone to 4, I guess. Maybe going to 4 was good. And then we still lose to any creature spell. Well, you pretty much are guaranteed, like, any hour devoted to playing Magic the Gathering is just a straight guarantee that at least one, maybe like 4 or 5 times in that hour, you're just going to have the worst non-games you've ever imagined. All right. I would like to find a land, please. At least that's good. That is a land. Okay, I think we're actually in a really good spot. So I'm just going to say go and just hold up double counter. Gatebreaker Ram seems like a pretty good essence capture target. And no land. Alright. So this seems like just the traditional Gates deck. Alright. Did I already have this? Why didn't I play that too? Gates Ablaze? Alright, no reason to play Obsession. Okay. Yeah. No, my opponent just got mono blued. They just got completely mono blued out of the game. So, with that in mind, how would we like to board for game 2? Exclusion Mages seem good. I'm assuming that they are just straight gates and not the Nexus of gates, so I think Deep Freeze is also good. I think we can cut the Blink and probably trim Pierce and then 2 charts, because fuck chart. And then we'll try this. I don't know how they board against us. I mean, they obviously bring an Archway Angel, so I'm going to have to keep that in mind. But beyond that, I don't really know. Like, there might be just more sweepers post-board. I don't know, though. Probably not, right? They're probably playing either just 4 Gates Ablaze in the 75 or 4 Gates Ablaze plus 2 Deafening Clarions, and they have all 6 sweepers in the main. Like, those are really the only ways that I've seen regular-ass gates run. Like, those are the only kind of lists that I've seen. So this has no creature, but it does have Opt and a Curious Obsession and a removal spell. So this actually seems good. And there's another Opt, which is actually nice. Jhin is good, albeit a little awkward, given that, I'm not really going to be able to do much with him for a bit. I think this is fine. We get to threaten a counterspell. Incentivize them not to just go for it if they had a ram, for example. Right. It's a pretty good draw. So I'm just going to play it and say go. Nothing at instant speed is good. Now we're threatening retort. Sure. That is good. Crawl Harpooner is also good. Yeah, that's fine. Wish my hand was a little better. I feel like I drew a few too many lands here. So they could gate and then Gates Ablaze us, which would be pretty good for them. That is not a gate, which is probably good for us. What's also good is that because they don't have a dead creature, oh, beautiful, they can't Harpooner our Tempest Djinn here, which I like. So, yeah, I'm gonna just probably, like, deep freeze the Harpooner, I think. As weird as that sounds. Is that stupid? Probably. I wonder if he just double blocks. He probably should. So, did I bring in Melody? I don't remember if I brought in Melody. Wish I could look at my deck right now. This is actually a really hard spot, because, like, this is probably way better later. In fact, I know it's way better later. I'm just gonna swing. This allows me to chart. If they want to double block 2-for-1 themselves, they can do it. And they didn't, so I'm just gonna chart. Cool beans. Yep, I'll play Herald, and I'll say go and look to Trickster or something. 0 counter magic so far has been really bad, actually. Like, atrociously bad. Like, game-losingly bad. So, really hoping that that's not going to lose me the game, but it's kind of feeling like it might. Just going to wait to Trickster until end of turn, because I imagine there's a second Crisis coming. When there's one, there's normally another one. Gatebreaker Ram. Okay. It's not a Crass Daddy. Another Gatebreaker Ram. Also not a Crass Daddy, but is also brutal. Alright, well, I need to find cards, so I suppose Jin is staying back now that we actually have a boy to get in. That is a good draw. And that is also a good draw. Now, what is awkward about this current situation is I'm probably just allowing my opponent to swing this turn, and I'm going to take 1,000,000. But I do not believe that I can beat a Gates Ablaze. So, I would like to have an answer to it. So that is why I'm holding up Wizard's Retort. Probably just trading. Like, that seems fine to me. It's not great, obviously, but, like, shit, man. These Rams, they're gonna do me dirty. Hydroid fucking Crisis. Good lord. Yeah, I mean, it's worth a retort, I think, because I don't know how to win at this point in general, so. Alright, well, let's see what we draw, hey? That's not a spell. It's kind of a spell. Yeah, I'm gonna do the plays that, I kind of have to do. And as awful as this seems, oh, that means, oh, I forgot Crisis, right, counters, keeps the counters. It's not an 0-4, it's a 3-7. I mean, it has Defender, but, I mean, I'm dead to Gates Ablaze. I don't think that was different at any point. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm always dead to the Gates Ablaze. I will happily trade. These are both the same creature once they're both on the table, so who cares? That is a Gates Ablaze. Congratulations, opponent. You've won for free, because I drew 8 lands in the top 20 cards of my deck. Alright. The good old mono lands. Alright, let's try again. This time let's actually bring in the melodies, eh? Cut a chart. Fuck chart. Honestly, probably just cut, like... No, I don't think I can cut Storm Tamers. I want to. Is Deep Freeze even good? I don't know. I feel like just being on the play is good enough that I don't need to Deep Freeze. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's dumb. Alright. Ooh, Magic. Magic the Gathering, boys and girls. That's what we got here. Whew. I mean, it's probably one of the better 6s. Obviously, if one of these obsessions was a land, I would be ecstatic, although drawing that land is kind of great as well. So if they don't have exactly shock land shock, then I think we can just kind of run away with the game. And they're gates, so I don't think that they have those things, although that might just be a Spell Pierce, which would be really weird and bad. My opponent plays really weird and bad Magic cards, and they're going to get rewarded for it. You really should. I believe that this is maybe the most incorrect thing I've seen my opponent do so far. I mean, they might win with it, but... Holy fucking smokeronis, dude. That's a big I don't know from me. So here I'm just keeping up Essence Capture. Just potentially, you know. Alright, just gonna Trickster. Just gonna Wizard out. Get a clock going. It's kind of looking like that game 1. In fact, it's really looking like that game 1. Beautiful top deck. I'm gonna say go and just have double spell. I'm actually tempted to retort, but then Gates Ablaze is good, so. I guess Gates Ablaze is still kind of good. But they can only get it to 4 this turn, so I can still dive down my Terramander if they do have a Pierce and a Gates Ablaze. Now it's only 3, so I'm not super concerned. Interesting. So now I know they have expansion. Yeah, I mean, make them spend it, right? Now if they're... No, never mind. I guess it doesn't matter which thing they're copying. He's expansioning the Gates Ablaze. So I will back down. Keep my dude. That does 3. That gets countered. Keep my boy around. Got another Trickster. That's not bad. Give me a land. Give me a land. That's not a land, but that's okay. Here's the Storm Tamer. Doesn't quite work, you know. It doesn't roll off the tongue quite as nice. Could have another Gates Ablaze. It'd be pretty good for them, but I do get to Trickster on end step. Okay, cool. There's the Archway Angel I was mentioning. And they even shocked to resolve it. Yikes. Mondo yikage. So I could play Jin to have a 1-turn clock, but I think it makes a lot more sense to just play around Gates Ablaze. Like, I don't need to have them dead next turn. I need to make sure that they just can't play spells. Alright, well, I think that's it. I think that'll do it. I think we played enough matches. You guys got to see the good, the bad, and the ugly from this deck. I'm popping open this pack because it's, you know, it's going to be a fucking mythic wildcard because I get more of those than rare. Like, how does he do it? How? What the fuck, actually, though? Look at that. 1 rare, 2 mythic. Anyway, let's look at the deck. If I were to make any changes, I wouldn't because Alexander Hayne is a genius. I do think that my one change that I've already made is probably good, though. The Essence Capture over a Mistcloaked Herald has felt really, really good so far. It is worth noting that, yes, there are decks currently in the format that play 0 creatures, and it is possible to have 2 dead cards in Game 1 in 2 Essence Capture if you have 2 copies like I do. However, the good news is the decks that play 0 creatures are already good matchups most of the time, so I don't think it really makes a huge difference to have 1 more Mistcloaked Herald instead of this second Essence Capture. But against creature decks, having 2 Essence Captures is game-winning, right? If you draw both against a creature deck, you just win. So, yeah, that's my thoughts. I do think this deck is dope. I think that if you're a good player, or at the very least played this deck a lot, you will be able to climb the ladder very well, as Alexander Hayne has proven. And again, it's very cheap, so I would recommend it if you are interested. Although, if you are not interested in the world's least interesting and lowest skill ceiling mirror match of all time, probably don't build mono blue because the ladder is a bunch of mono blue and the mirrors are mind-numbingly stupid, and there's nothing that you can do to actually make yourself better in the mirrors. I mean, yes, there is, but the mirrors really just come down to who has more / better cards, and that just comes down to who drew better, right? Like, it literally just comes down to who drew better 99% of the time. Sure, that 1% is kind of intriguing, but like most of the time it's just who drew better, and that's not very fun at all. Yeah, that's the video. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. I do think the next video, despite what I said last time about this one being Phoenix, I think the next one's going to be some sort of Phoenix deck. I am torn currently between the blue-red Phoenix list, which is basically just an evolution of the Phoenix plus Drake list from Guilds of Ravnica Standard. I'm torn between that list and just straight mono-red Phoenix. I think mono-red Phoenix is spicier, so I might try that. But we'll see. And by we, I mean you. You'll see in a week. I'll see probably in less than a week, like between 4 or 5 days from now. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys later.